LLM benchmarks are really great and they're very important, but they're hard to truly understand and really comprehend. Every LLM provider comes out with some clearly a little biased, slightly fine-tuned prompt comparisons, and absolutely there's a lot of truth in what they're sharing, but you always have to take it with a grain of salt. Of course, the LLM provider wants to promote their own LLM over others so that developers like you and I try their LLMs and spend our time and money checking out their tech. For that reason, I wanted to create a type of benchmark that you can really feel. So I built this simple benchmarking tool, Last LLM Standing Wins. It's really simple. You select how many lives you want, you drop in your prompt testing results, and then you let your LLMs battle on their specific models. So before we dive into this anymore, I'm going to let these models duel. We have a Grok model here, we have Vertex Pro, we have GPT-3.5 Turbo, and of course we have the new Claude Sonnet. So we're going to let these LLMs battle, and we'll walk through exactly what's going on after. So here we go. So as you can see right away, Grok is ripping. Grok is already done with the 10 prompts. GPT 3.5 finishes, Gemini Pro finishes, and it looks like Claude 3 Sonnet doesn't make it to the end here. So let's talk about what exactly just happened there, right? So each one of these squares represents a single prompt test, and every LLM runs the same test. If we hover over one of these squares, you can see here, the prompt is this. So given the natural language query, select 5 users, generate the SQL. That's all this prompt is doing. Given a natural language query, we want to have the LLM generate the proper SQL statement for us. You can see here at the bottom, GPT 3.5 generated the correct select statement, select star from users, limit 5. So that runs for every single model and every provider. Each LLM is given specific awards. So you saw here, Grok finished first, but it also finished with the least cost. It got the frugal award. We have 2 bullseyes, so these LLMs completed with no mistakes. And we had Claude 3 Sonnet die, and it also was the first to die, first and only to die. So it got the Dead Award, it got the First Blood Award, and it also got the Grand Theft Auto LLM Award, which means it cost the most. Let's go ahead and run another test. Go ahead and bump our lives up to 4 and let's run this. So this is a battle between the top 2 LLMs currently with their APIs open to the public. So this is OpenAI's one of the latest preview versions, and of course up against Claude 3 Opus. They have 4 lives each. If you're excited for this LLM battle and you're super stoked for the results here, hit the like, hit the sub, and let's watch the 2 best models battle it out. So right away, you can see GPT-4 quite a bit ahead, Claude 3 Opus lagging, but still 100% accuracy. Love to see that for both of these models. They have 4 lives, so let's see how far they both get. So far, so good. They're running 20 natural language query to SQL prompts, and there we go. So we got some errors. Okay, so Anthropic just bombed 4 in a row, and we're gonna have OpenAI's GPT-4. Okay, so we got 2 errors from OpenAI's GPT-4, but it did complete. This was the fastest LLM alive, but it also got the Grand Theft LLM Award. So it did cost us the most out of these 2 models. Of course, Claude 3 bombed 4 in a row here. So it lost all of its health. It died. It also got the First Blood Award. And the frugal LLM here doesn't mean much since it's, just 2 models up against each other. Here is a really big, exciting example. Here's the big final 7-way LLM battle. We have Grok, we have GPT-4, we got Vertex, we got GPT-3, we got 3 variants of Claude in here. But before we dive into this one, I want to show you exactly how this works. We're standing on top of a framework called Promptfoo. We've discussed this on the channel before. I'll make sure to link those guides and those videos in the description so you can get caught up on how you can write tests for your prompts to gain confidence in the value that your LLMs are bringing to your work, to your products, and to your tools. It runs right in the CLI, and it also has a nice user interface for you to look and visually see the results of your LLMs. Real quick, we'll take a look at the code. You can see here we have our Promptfoo configuration file, and let's just go ahead and create another test quickly. Let's do a Speedster test. So this is going to be a test between kind of the 2 fastest and most accurate models out right now, GPT 3.5 and Groq Mixtral. Let's go ahead and look at the tests that are going to be run against those items. You can see here we're running NLQ to SQL. Here's the prompt that you saw in the tooltip. So just as you saw before, given the natural language query, bam, and then the database dialect, bam, is going to be Postgres. We're given giving some table definition information, and then we're asking it to fill in the SQL statement that will satisfy the natural language query. We then run a suite of tests. So this is what the individual tests look like. Let's just go ahead and collapse here so we can just take a look at one of these. So you can see here, NLQ to SQL, we're passing in the NLQ, the database, and then this is how we're asserting. Any LLM block here that you saw that lost their battle, let's refresh and go ahead and let these duel again. So any LLM that lost and got an invalid response was unable to assert these values, or something went wrong with their API call, right? I think in one of these tests, Anthropic is timing out in a lot of these cases, right? Just because their API is getting absolutely destroyed right now. And they also have strict rate limits on their API. So that's why we're seeing some of these Claude errors. It's actually performing a little bit better than we're seeing here in the tests, but it's still really cool to see it visually how it comes out. So the interesting thing about these tests you're seeing is that these are deterministic tests. So it's running on a Promptfoo configuration output file that has already completed. Let's go ahead and run a Speedster test for these 10 items. Inside my package here, I have NLQ to SQL 10, and it's going to run on top of that Promptfoo configuration file. So let's just go ahead and do that right now. So we'll say yarn NLQ 10, and let's make sure that we don't have anything else enabled. Otherwise, they'll show up as a LLM trying to join the battle. We just want Turbo and Grok. So let's go ahead and let them battle here. Let's fire that off. And so right now in Promptfoo with a delay timer, both GPT-3 and Groq Mixtral are running right now, and bam, so we just saw them complete. We have one failure out of 19, that's great. But if we come into the output file, you can see here in the package.json, we are actually outputting these to a output10.json file. So we open that up, you can see here we have, all of the results. So it's results, we have stats, and then Promptfoo developers give us a nice set of information here to work with from our test output. We focus on the results. So what we can do here is just take this, we can open this, go back over to our application, refresh, and then here we're going to drag and drop a brand new LLM last man standing battle. We're just going to drag this over, drop it in, and you can see here we have a battle between Groq Mixtral and GPT-3.5 Turbo. So let's go ahead and see how these two compare to each other. Let's see who can win first, right? This is really a speed test between Grok and 3.5. Let's let them battle. All right, so yeah, really impressive. But interestingly, right, so this is why this is so cool and important to see how this really looks and feels, right? Just by seeing this visually, we now know that, Groq Mixtral, and, I realize that this is spelled wrong, forgive me, but we can see here that Groq Mixtral is really fast, but, it did get a prompt wrong, right? It did bomb on this test here for whatever reason. The assertion statement for this test did not go through. At the same time, we saw that complete very, very quickly. We can refresh, go ahead and drag and drop again, and we'll run it again, and really just it's so cool to visually see this, right? Grok is almost twice as fast as 3.5, but as you can see, GPT 3.5 is more accurate in this test case scenario. So really cool to see that. We got the fastest LLM alive over here on the left, but we have the bullseye on the right. At the same time though, Grok, least expensive. Really cool to kind of just visually see this. Comment down below and hit the like, hit the sub if you guys are interested in this getting hosted so that you can, run your Promptfoo test and then drag and drop it in here into what will be a, just a simple hosted website. And then you can kind of watch your LLMs duel. This is probably something that I'll be adding to the AnyDev tools at some point, just because it's something that I really enjoy using, and it definitely fits the purpose of the AnyDev tools tool set. So it's all about, building agentic software. It's all about understanding prompts. It's all about, building LLM software and building technology that will help you, create your reusable building blocks and really dig into these, agentic principles like prompts are the new fundamental unit of programming. One of the key parts of building important software is making sure that you have tests and making sure that you really truly understand the technology that you're building with and the technology that you're building on top of. So I'll probably build this into the AnyDev tools, but let me know if you guys are interested in a tool like this. This doesn't have to be a public thing. I can keep this private. I just thought this was really cool and wanted to share it with you here. So let's go ahead and look at that final battle here. This is a 20 set prompt. So there are 20 prompts here. It's all NLQ to SQL tests. We have a lot of LLM providers here. The cool part about this test is it's all built on top of Promptfoo. So after you run your test and you specify an output file, right, using their -- output flag here, and you go ahead and get your results into a concrete JSON file, then we can drag and drop and then just run a test, right? So it's really as flexible as your Promptfoo tests are. So whatever your outputs are here basically is just built right on top of Promptfoo. And it's a more intuitive way to really understand what your prompts are doing. Enough talk. Let's go ahead and let this last big, massive LLM battle run. Let's see who the last LLM standing is here. So right away, you can see Grok is off to the races. That LPU is insane. We got some dead Claude models, and we have, was this GPT-3? Very nice GPT-3 with 2 errors only. Okay, we have Grok dead. We have Gemini Pro dead, and GPT-4. Nice. GPT-4 lives with 1 health. GPT-3.5 Turbo lives here with 1 health. Everyone else is dead here. We do have some awards. So Mixtral ran so fast. That was really kind of difficult to see. Let's go ahead and run that again. It's so cool to see how fast Mixtral is. So we'll just kick this off again. And these down here, these are just in-memory files. So if we go ahead and look at the code here, I just threw a couple of these battles just right in memory, right? So I fired off my Promptfoo tests using the -- output flag, and then just copy the results directly into these battles, and all the information is right here. That's what these 3 starter battles are. Let's just go ahead and watch how fast Grok is here. I think it really shows, being able to see this visually really shows how much faster Grok really is. Bam, so fast. But also we have to shout out 3.5 Turbo. Probably one of the least appreciated models is OpenAI's GPT-3.5 Turbo. It's fast, it's very accurate, and we can see here, to be fair, I'm pretty sure all of these Claudes are just hitting a rate limit. That's on me. If you guys are interested, I'll set up better tests to share on the channel. Drop the like, drop the sub. We can have more LLM last man standing battles. I'm pretty sure Anthropic is just timing out here, both with rate limits, and multiple times I've had issues with their API. They're getting hammered a lot right now. But we had GPT-4 come in, finish strong, and Vertex Pro, not too bad. It made a decent way there, but it did ultimately bomb a couple of times, not satisfying the prompt assertion statements. Really interesting way to kind of feel the prompt. Sure, you can relate to this. Like, it's so great seeing these like hardcore benchmarks with a bunch of really intense problems and really domain specific things that you and I care about, and the LLM industry as a whole cares about, because they really dial into how powerful is this at solving really intense, at the edge of field problems. These benchmarks are really important, but they're really hard to feel. They're hard to understand, which is why I think something like last man standing, something visual that you can just see, like, let's just take 4 models and give it my personal prompt, right? I think that's a big advantage here when you're prompt testing. These are all prompts that I want to see how my personal prompts I'm building for my products compare when used with different LLMs with different providers. And that's really the big value here of not just the last man standing, but just prompt testing in general. I highly, highly recommend you guys check out my previous videos. And more importantly, just check out Promptfoo. This is a really, really important tool in the age of LLMs, in the age of AI. I've said it a million times on the channel, and I'll keep saying it. The prompt is the new fundamental unit of knowledge work. So it's super important to truly know and understand how powerful are your prompts. How good is this LLM, right? Really know what's happening. You really want to be truly comparing and really internalizing, when should I use this LLM? When should I use this prompt? How good is this prompt? So, there are a lot of really interesting things that you can test and tweak with your own LLM tests. I just want to shout out Promptfoo and all the engineers working on it. It's such a fantastic tool. As a concrete example, I plugged this product on the channel a couple times, but I'm building this product called Talk to Your Database. It basically takes your natural language queries and converts them into SQL and automatically runs them. Not just text to SQL, it's text to SQL to results. Copy JSON, you can export, you can do whatever you want. Let's just go ahead and open up the app right now. And so when you're, building out your application, it's so important to know that your prompts are going to work, right? Even before I hit enter here, I can tell you with 99% certainty if my NLQ is going to work, because I have tested it thoroughly. Let me just search for a good query to make. So So, something like products price less than 50 and quantity between, 2 and 5. Before I even run this, I know this is going to run because I have prompt tests that have already validated it, right? Not only did it run, it ran insanely fast. As you can see here, we got no results. There's nothing in the database that fits this criteria. Let's go ahead and play with that a little bit. I'll tap that and let's do a quantity between, we'll do 5 and 15. And we'll do price equal to, greater than, and we'll fudge some of the spelling. Let the LLM fix it for us, right? Bam, already complete, and nothing there either. Let's go ahead and get some concrete results out of this. So let's go ahead and drop this down to 20. I just actually want to see some concrete results. We'll do 3, 10, let that run, bam. And we can see that we got one product that fits this exact criteria. The point here is that you want to be absolutely certain when you're building your products that your prompts are doing exactly what you think they're going to do. I don't want to overplug this. If you write SQL on a daily basis, I highly recommend you check out this application. I built it for myself and other engineers, that spend a decent amount of time in databases, operating on data. There's a free forever version, and if you want to upgrade, you absolutely can. We just rolled out the agent configuration for Pro members, and of course, it's got Grok in here, the hyperspeed SQL agent. This thing is fast. It's helping really propel the application forward. But again, I just want to pull this all back and say, I couldn't have built this into this product, into that application, without first really truly testing to make sure that I'm confident that these SQL statements will be able to properly run in a production database. I just want to pull that curtain back again and just say that it's really important to test and have proof of value and fully understand and validate that. Just like you know your code is going to run the right way, you really want to know that your LLMs are going to run the right way, right? And give you the right results you're looking for. It's so incredible how well GPT 3.5 Turbo performs. It's fast and it's accurate. And, inside of the Talk to Your Database application, that's how I've kind of graded it in this simple performance measurement. And this is all thanks to, again, prompt testing. There's no way I could know this and build this into an application. And there's no way you can know this and build this into your applications and your tools without, first really setting up some really clean tests and running it. There's not going to be any code for this yet. So again, let me know if you guys are interested in this Promptfoo last man standing prompt testing visualizer, and definitely spend some time looking at Promptfoo. This is, again, the best way to test your LLMs right now in the age of AI, in the age of prompts, where the prompt is the new fundamental unit of knowledge work. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the like, hit the sub, and I'll see you in the next one.